hey, we got some stuff to install. So as you can probably see, we've got some fancy RGB and fans to install. So we've got 5 LL120 fans to install, and we've got one LL140 fan to install, which is obviously going to be at the back. And then we've got 3 RGB strips, which are going to go top, on the side and along the bottom. So we've got 3 120 fans going at the front, and we've got 2 120 fans going on the bottom, and then obviously I've already said the 140. Then we have this really cool custom GPU bracket which sits in this base, and then has a little arm that goes on here, which is just going to go obviously under the end of the GPU. And while I'm at it, I'm going to be changing over the GPU power from the pigtail I've got into 2 singles, which will make it look nicer, and it should give you a bit more sufficient power supply. Not that there's anything particularly wrong with running the pigtail, but as cars are getting more and more powerful, it probably is worth in the future now switching over to having 2 separate cables for each of the 8-pin PCI power things. You know what I mean. We're going to be running 2 separate cables to go into the power supply, and then I'm going to flip it around, and it's a bit of a mess around there because when I was building this I was having some problems getting the hard drive to actually work, and when I did get it working I just thought, right, I can't be arsed now, and just actually chucked it back together. So I'm going to be doing some cable management obviously once I've installed all the fans. So let's get cracking and get all the tempered glass off and hopefully not smash any. It's actually quite easy to strip this down to just the bare chassis. I've already taken some of the screws off. You've got 2 thumb screws on the side, 4 on the top, 4 on the front, and then another 2 of these hinge and lift. If you're actually interested in the specs of this machine, just so I've got this front panel open, got a ROG Strix overclocked 2080 Ti. We've got the Ryujin 368 AIO, got a Corsair Hero 8 motherboard X570. We've got a ridiculous power supply. This is the Asus ROG 4 1200 watts. In case you've not seen, there's a bit of a Asus ROG theme going on. And we've got a AMD 3900X for the processor. So this is sort of like a all-in-one gaming and workstation machine, so where I do all my editing, the gaming, streaming, everything on there. So it's a bit overkill for what it is, but I like it, and that's all that matters. And that's the specs. Right, so we're going to open the triple pack first, because this has the Corsair Commander thing in it that controls the fans and the RGB. So the Lighting Node Pro, that's what it's called, and the fan hub. So I'm going to get this installed, and I can get this around the back and everything wired up. And as usual, I don't have anything to open boxes with. I really need to find my razor blade. So obviously, like most RGB fans, we have 2 wires, which is what makes it such a nightmare to bloody cable manage. But once they're done, they'll look really nice. So if you can obviously see the fan. Just a typical 120 design, but they were much nicer than the fans that I had initially installed, which have now been put into my friend's case. Alright, so we're going to get the front fans installed first. Perfect. So that's the 3 front fans installed. Next we're going to do the 140 at the back. Now we've got the back fan installed, we've got the 3 at the front, we've just got the 2 at the bottom, then we can push the necessary cables through. Now I don't have a fan connector, a fan hub even, sorry, because I'm an idiot. I gave it to my friend so he could use it on his case that I just built the other day. So luckily I do have several fan headers. I think there's 3 technical chassis fans, there are 3 chassis fan headers on my motherboard, There are two that I can use for the GPU, and then I do have a CPU optional one which I can use. So I've still got plenty of headers to use, but I think I will actually get a fan hub just so I can connect everything in. You can get universal ones really cheap, I just wasn't even thinking about that. So cable management isn't going to be the best, unfortunately, because there's going to be wires running to the motherboard instead of just one from the fan controller. But nevertheless, we're going to get the fans installed on the bottom now. These are going to be intakes, obviously air rises, so that's going to just help. And then we can get all the cable management installed. We can put the bracket in for the GPU first as well. I did actually plan ahead of that and did get an RGB splitter, so that's one thing I actually planned for. Just didn't plan well enough. So nevertheless, it'll be. Oh, and I need to unplug these as well, and then I can run those separately. So that'll, and the braiding as well. So I'll get rid of these horrible plastic looking cables. So right, let's crack on and get the bottom fans in. Put the air filter back in, then we can stand it up. The RGB strips in. I think they should be magnetic these, and I don't think I actually need the lighting on in this. I've already got one with the other fans, so technically I can just plug this into there. I've got a spare one, so that's what we've already got with our triple pack fans. And hopefully, the idea is these are going to be long enough to oh yeah, I think we're okay here. And now we need to start doing a little bit of cable management. So let's unplug this ugly pigtail, and we're going to replace that with two nice fresh ones. Deleting this to do it. Oh, please don't break anything. And out she blows. It kind of looks small considering I just had a 3070 in my hands yesterday. This is not as chunky as that. Still a great card nevertheless, but not as hefty. I had an EVGA for the Win Ultra 3070 yesterday, and that was a big boy. If you haven't seen that video, I will have a little annotation up in the corner like all the pros do. But yeah, still a good card. I am not in any rush to be selling. Not that it would make a difference anyway, because you can't get the cards, and that has made it mild easy to get in there for that fan header. Perfect. And then I can sort of just route that a little bit neater, just so that you can't see it. Perfect. Right, so that's one fan sorted. I'll put the graphics card back in after I've done all the rest. Let's feed all these to where they need to go. Let's spin it around. And then not drop. Off the bat. Right, well, this is what we've got now. This absolute mess of wires. This is going to be fun. So I'm going to start by uncable tying everything and essentially starting fresh. best cable management job in the world, but it's definitely a lot neater than what it was. Really, the only thing you can do is sort of try and get your bundles of cables, and like where they're coming out from the grommets, I've put some Velcro cable ties around, and then just trying to keep them together as much as possible. Obviously, when it gets down here, when it gets awkward and all the excess wire from the fans, you've just got to sort of bundle up like I tried to do up here, but there wasn't enough, I didn't have enough length to actually do it, so I just sort of tucked it around here. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to put the side panel back on, and then I'm going to be ready to turn it on. Fingers crossed. That looks miles better than that pigtail I had on. That is much nicer. This was what was on before, and obviously in comparison it's a lot neater, and it's braided. This is almost like a suedo braid. Well, it's braided, but they're individually sleeved, so I really should have used those at the beginning. Right, let's get the front panels on. I'm going to tidy up some of this mess, and then I'm going to power it on and see what it looks like. So here it is, moment of truth time. I'm confident, I'm a professional, I'm going to be fine, he says. RGB, that's a good sign. Well, this is where if everything's in the wrong header, it'll pop, 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 pop. There we have it, all working, all synced up. I did have to, the RGB strips weren't working, so I had to actually try and do a bit of troubleshooting with that. It turns out it was this guy. So in the kit you get a bunch of extensions, so which is good because I've got a full tower case. And what was happening was, for whatever reason, it didn't like the signal going from going from having a male end into the female back into another female. So that if you are installing one of these, that might be worth taking into consideration. Because I initially thought it was because you needed both ends plugged into the lighting node, which kind of defeats the whole object, especially when you've got the fans. But it turns out it was just this one wire. I tried seeing if I had a faulty LED strip or if one of the wires were faulty while I was doing it, but no, it was literally just this guy. So if you are installing them on your own, it might be worth checking which connector is going to go into the back onto your lighting node hub. You want whichever one is going into the back off your LED strip, you want that to be a male connector, so that you can basically plug the female in, and then I'll have another male, female, and then the female will go into the back on the hub. But yeah, that's it. Fans are still a bit loud, I haven't actually configured them yet. Because I'm going to take that back up into my studio, and that's where I'm going to do that. But relatively easy to install. It was nice to get some of the cable management a little bit neater. Obviously changed over from the pigtail to the individual strips, and that looks miles better. Just having the braided cables as opposed to the plastic half hybrid braided. And we've got a GPU mount under there to take some of the pressure off, which there was quite a bit of sag. Obviously it's been like that for a year, so it's all been sagging a bit, but other than that, everything was all hunky-dory. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you do all the usual YouTube stuff and keep in touch, because hopefully I'll be doing some more hands-on sort of videos in the near future. The only other thing I do need to do to this is get one of the internal USB 2.0 hubs, because I don't have any USBs now on the front apart from the two 3.0s. But other than that, I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy.